Hey everyone, it's me, John. Welcome to another edition of Geek and Dorks Reviews. We're going to go a little different with this one. I am talking about a documentary. However, it's not related to missing people or murders or premature death or conspiracy theories or anything like that. It is about Jake the Snake Roberts. Now, I first saw a trailer for the film The Resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts maybe a year and a half ago, and I was really excited to see that. Me, of course, being a child of the 80s, I grew up with the WWF back when it had an F, and no, I'm not talking about the World Wildlife Federation, I'm talking about the World Wrestling Federation. Mean Gene Okerlund, Rowdy Roddy Piper, of course Hulk Hogan, but you couldn't mention all those guys without talking about Jake the Snake. He was one of the coolest wrestlers going because he always had a snake with him. He also had a great finishing move, the DDT. But I'll never forget all the many times I watched Jake the Snake do his appearances, how many different times he would pull that snake out and drop it on the face of someone that was passed out. I even went to some how many W's are there? WWF events when I was a child, and I really enjoyed it. Andre the Giant and Ultimate Warrior, Ravishing Rick Rude, Razor Ramon, just so many great memories as I was a child of these characters. And that's where the resurrection of Jake the Snake really comes to life for me. First of all, you get a bit of a peek into the backstory, and it's told by other professional wrestlers. The first 15 minutes or so of this film, if you're a fan of the WWE or the old WWF at all, you're probably going to get a blast out of the first 15 minutes. There are so many cameos from other wrestlers talking about Jake, what an influence he was to them. But then the film really pushes forward into the story of a man that, as literally as he put it, that was trying to kill himself. And a man that is struggling with alcoholism, drug abuse. He's still being trotted out at these really hokey wrestling events where there's only a few hundred people in the audience. And apparently TMZ caught some footage of him at one of these. He was severely out of shape. He was drunk when he took to the stage. And the fight was, there was really no fight. I mean, it was like he was just completely non-responsive, like he didn't realize what was going on in the ring around him, and he just wasn't reacting to anything. The story kind of pushes through all that, and then Diamond Dallas Page, another wrestler who has now started a program, a yoga program called DDP Yoga, takes Jake the Snake into his own home, and they live together for a couple months. And talk about an odd couple. It's really interesting because they have a lot of similarities. They know the world that they both came from in terms of wrestling, but Diamond Dallas Page is very much a figure for improving your life and positivity and things like that, and Jake is constantly weaving in and out of his demons. You know, he does great for a little bit, and then all of a sudden he'll slip up and won't be doing as good. And Diamond Dallas Page gets a little frustrated, but you know, the brotherhood between these guys is just, there's a lot of passion. You can tell these guys really love each other, and they fight like brothers when they have arguments. But the film is just really good about giving you an inside perspective to the recovery process, to Jake trying to get his life back together, trying to figure out what his new dreams are at this point of his life. I mean, this is a man that used to get into a ring in the middle of tens of thousands of people that were screaming his name. And now he's living in a very beat up house. He's not seeing his children, drinking himself to death, essentially. It sounds like a downer, but there is this beautiful, persistent upswing to the story. It's almost like watching him get up off the mat. Like he's struggling, holding on to the ropes, pulling himself up. Maybe he gets kicked in the back and he drops back down, and then he starts pulling himself up, and then he gets to the second rope, and then he gets kicked again, and then he gets to the third rope. And I don't think it really spoils anything to say that you really want to see what happens to Jake. And by the time you get to the end of this movie, you see a man that crawls out of his own shadow and can kind of stand on his own again and stand for new dreams and refines himself. It's really, really great. Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, also kind of tags onto this journey, and man, what a shocking thing just to see what happens to these men's bodies when they let themselves go. You know, they're in such good shape for such a long time. They work so hard at it, and then you know, due to injuries, they kind of fall into these patterns where they start letting themselves go, and it just wreaks havoc on their bodies. But luckily, both these men had a very good friend in Diamond Dallas Page to help them out. This is not the first time I've heard of Diamond Dallas Page doing this type of thing. As a matter of fact, there's a YouTuber that I really like a lot. His name is Boogie2988. He's a pretty popular YouTuber. He has over 3 million subscribers, and he is severely overweight. And Diamond Dallas Page has even gone to personally meet with Boogie and to try to help him get a grip on his life as well. So it's a very, very cool story. It's very inspiring to see Diamond Dallas Page do his work in this way, and this is a front row seat to it. On top of that, you get all the nostalgia factor of watching Jake the Snake and seeing him in old clips and kind of getting a good encapsulated view of his life leading up to where he is now. And it just leaves you with this great feeling about where he can take it into the future. And you really wind up rooting for this guy through everything he faces, and it's a great story. I really can't recommend it highly enough. So yeah, like I mentioned, I had seen a trailer for it for its theatrical release, but now it's available on Netflix, so you guys can get to it, at least here in the US. You can get to it very, very quickly and easily. On IMDB right now, it is rating an 8.1 out of 10. I'm right there with it. I might even give it an 8.5. I really, really enjoyed this film. A couple of pretty tough moments, but overall a level of positivity and encouragement that is infectious and will leave you. I think it's one of those films where you can really come out of it a better person. You know, it's pretty rare to say that about a movie when you watch something and you get to the end of it and you actually go, wow, I feel like I got something from that movie for myself. This is that special type of movie. So I hope you will check it out, especially if you're a fan of Jake the Snake or the old WWF. But even if not, if you have dealt with addiction in your life, personally or just within your family, there are many great lessons and insights that I think you can get from this film. So please, please give it a shot. I really think it's worth 90 minutes of your time. Thank you so much for joining me on this Geek and Dorks review. I will catch you on the next show on the Geek and Dorks channel, and I hope you right there, have an awesome day. Take care.